We had a measuring system, but what happens is it's done once a year. So during that 1 week, we prepare the best foods, the best meals. We come up with all the best programs.
No!
We do all the beautiful things. And Papa and Pepper, I prepared them very well. So when they go do the survey, we get high marks. But we need to have a proper measuring system that can truly tell us that whatever we're doing, it's working or it's not.
Thing here. So welcome, Mr. Frank, all the way from Ghana. It's an absolute privilege to be interviewing and connecting with you today on employee well-being, psychological safety, and all things good about the people in business. And the reason why I love connecting with you is our backgrounds have a similar crossover where you've been in hospitality for many, many decades. You've now got on your own business. I was in hospitality. I left because of burnout. Not sure of why you left. And now I've also got my own business. But Wellthy has been put together in a collaboration with Dr. Denea, where we are wanting to go into companies throughout Africa and reinvigorate employee well-being. And in order to do this, we thought, what is actually happening at ground roots level? What's really going on? The HR practitioners, the business leaders, what are they finding is working, isn't working, and that they would love to have in place around employee well-being? So it's wonderful to have you. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you very much. Wonderful to be here, Tim. Nice meeting you. I've seen a few of your clips and series, and amazing. The sort of things you are doing, well done. It's something that I think all companies should take seriously. Employee well-being is something that is of great concern, and that I think that's the only key that can turn great employees, either make them great or make them worse. So employee well-being is something that needs to be looked at seriously. Yes.
So when you're saying it needs to be looked at seriously, you're implying that it isn't, even though you've been a business leader yourself.
Yes. And I'm telling you, it's not being looked at holistically. Okay, so employee well-being programs are being implemented all over, but it's not detailed enough. And the other day we were interviewing somebody, he said that they tackle the symptoms and not the roots, which is true. You know, we all try to solve a little bit of the problem, but the holistic, well-being program is not being looked at. And a lot of it boils down to, I don't know whether it's will or resources, because I've spoken to a lot of HRs and they tell me, look, Frank, we feel we could be doing more, but we don't just have the backing to do it. Some say, look, when an employee comes in, right now from orientation level, they want to have a way of guiding that employee throughout their whole work life. So that if it's about, they need to achieve that balance for them to be able to perform well. So from earnings to savings to health, to family, to employee relations, to fitness, that all needs to be managed in a way that it fits well into the employee's lifestyle, so that they can achieve the best out of everything they are doing. So that when they go home, they are achieving. When they are at work, they are achieving. Whatever they intend to do in terms of their savings and their future plans. So they have a well-rounded view of their life. But that is a bit difficult to do. And a lot of HRs have personally told me that, it's difficult. Some of them don't get backing. Even sometimes when they get backing, sometimes there's not just the structure that is well, put in place enough to do that. Also, the psychological aspect is huge. A lot of people have a lot of mental issues that need to be looked at. But it's not being addressed. One could be from the personal level, that is the employee himself, may not feel comfortable enough to come out and talk about their mental problems, because they feel once you start talking about it, it feels you're probably mad, or there will be that tag on you and all that. Yes. So they themselves may not be comfortable or confident enough to come out. But the bigger issue is that most companies don't have anything in place. There's no psychologists in place. and even the HRs don't see themselves as people who should be sitting in that role trying to help. A lot of them. Some try. I know some who are really good. They go out of their way to meet employees and discuss issues and try and suggest A, B, C, D. But there's not really any structure for that, and that's what I think a major problem is.
So let's cut through the fluff. We
Yes.
want to cut right down to the root, and if it means calling out people not by name, by title, the positions, what we need to get to, as you said, we got to get underneath and sort out what the root cause of this is, not the symptoms, the pizza day and the beanbag and the canteen and all this. It's crap. It doesn't work. Where is the biggest block?
Well, the biggest block comes from, I would say, the top, because accountability needs to be put. The head is where everything is. If something is going to rot, if a fish is going to rot, it rots at the head. So let's start from the top. So at the top, business owners are looking at profitability. So in terms of profitability, they're looking at the amount of money, the budget they put for training. They're looking at, so when it comes to employee well-being, not enough resources is being channeled to that aspect. And so we all want to be profitable. So everything we do is geared towards profitability. But I have learned over the years that, in order to be profitable, the employee is the most important asset you have.
Right.
And if you have a thriving employee, your business is going to do well. Now, because then they become an embodiment of that employee. Tim Bill Murray said that if you take care of your employee, the employee will take care of the clients, and the clients will keep coming back. So you realize that the fundamental issue here is the employee. If the leaders now recognize that employee well-being is the key to everything else, that's the game changer. But I think there's not enough, I don't know whether education or enough research, but in terms of business owners, that's not what's on the table. They're looking at the money first before the employee, but it should be the other way. So we should be training people. So if you employ somebody, is he well equipped to do the work? That's also part of it. Then what's the psychological make of what does he think? Is he thinking right? Is his mind right? Is he aligned to our vision and mission? All those things help. Then are they fit enough? Are they taking care of their health? Are they what programs are we putting in place to help them? Because a lot of people, the burnout you're talking about is that we pile a lot of work on people, right, and they end up working till late, and then they have to go home, and the next morning they're back at work. And then they have to, on top of all this, they have family things they have to take care of. Their kids' well-being is also there, their wives, their extended family, there's all that going on. But then we grab the whip, so they've got to leave late and come back early. Everything else doesn't matter. And so that's where it is. We need to find a balance, a proper balance, where employees are thriving.
Right. I love that word. Yes, they're thriving. It's time that people can thrive and not just survive in their job. You're talking about the workplace being a space where people are transformed. At the moment, people are going and turning up to get a little bit of a salary, so they have to go back, but there's no transformation. It's not having a look, and you're using the word holistic on an ongoing basis.
Yes.
But I want to cut back a little bit here. I want to step back again. The fish rots from the head down. The heads are people.
Yes.
They used to be down below before they became the head, before they became the executive or the CEO or the business owner.
Yes.
You mention statistics. The statistics are out about, and Gallup has done it, many people have done it, where they've shown that $1 invested in employee well-being gives a $3 to $4 return in additional income, in business consistency. And we're not just talking about reducing your turnover, reducing your absenteeism, your sickness. We're not talking about all of that. We're just talking about a neat bottom line. So the numbers are there. Read the books, the statistics. So why is that still, and we're not just talking about Ghana here, this is a conversation throughout Africa, if not the world. I can't say the world, I'm only talking about Africa. How come in most cases, not all, in most cases, is it still not being taken seriously?
Okay, so what I've noticed is that everybody is passionate about training.
Right.
Everybody is passionate about employee well-being, but the actual backing isn't there. So a lot of the
Yep.
times we would say, oh, we'll put the budget together, we'll put the budget there. Sometimes the budget is actually there, but when it's time for the actual money, it's not there because we're looking at other things that are more important than that. And so the awareness is there. Everybody feels okay. Employees need to be trained. We need to put programs in place that helps them unwind, help them relax, help them do better, help them learn on the job, help them balance their finances at home. But where's the time to do that? In our industry, for example, hospitality, when we have conferences upon conferences upon conferences, everybody, the whole system just works to deliver that service that the client will come and then enjoy and go. So if it means, Tim, you're doing 12 hours a day this week, that's what you're going to do. So your manager is going to come to you and say, Tim, yes, I know you're busy, your this, your that, you wanted to go on leave, but we haven't given it to you yet. But there's this conference coming in and you've got to do 12 hours this week, and you have no choice but to do it because at the end of the day, you also want to satisfy the client. So it's all well intended, but there needs to be that intentionality where people can say, okay, no, regardless of those numbers that are coming in, we have arranged for you to go on leave, you need to go on leave. So we get a replacement. If it's casuals, you're going to get in or somebody going to get in to replace whilst you have your day off to give you that time to, be able to recover. Okay? If it's a course you've got to go do so that it makes you better at your work, we shouldn't cancel it because all of a sudden there's a presidential dinner. No, that shouldn't happen. So until we get to that point where we realize that no, once we have a plan in place and we want the employee well-being to be taken seriously, we want them to, what do you call it? Develop, in all aspects of their life so they can do well for themselves and for the company. We need to follow that plan. That needs to be done. And the HRs and then the training coordinators and the psychologists, those who have them, all need to come in place. And also the business owners, they need to be the first ones that say, look, for us as a business, employee comes first.
That's it.
Yes, and then that's it. So as part of who we are and what we do, we are going to put the employee at the forefront and make sure that we're taking care of the employee. Then I think that is when things will start to change.
I love it. I love it. You said two key things that keep jumping up to me. I wrote them down. The first is prioritize. So where are your priorities lying? Is your priorities lying with the bottom line profit or with the people? The next one is the development. And here's what's interesting. I did a survey about 4 or 5 months ago. I was doing a keynote talk to a group of HR professionals from throughout Africa. And I asked them a question of, there was 3 different criteria. What is one of the key ways that we can ensure that employee well-being is a part of the corporate culture? So it becomes mandated. And one of the top ones that came out was that employee well-being needs to be included in the training program, not as a separate entity with employee well-being over here, training for skills and communication or whatever over here. But the fact is that when the people arrive, and you said at the beginning, when people first come in, part of their training in that business is, how are you holistically? Not just helping you with understand our policies and procedures, but how's your health? How's your mental well-being? How's your home life? So the development, incorporating, and the bosses, where's your priority actually lie? That's important.
Yes.
So here's a question for you. I love that. If you could transform in whatever way possible psychological safety, employee well-being in Ghana, in companies, because you have your own consultancy business, am I right now?
Yes, I just launched it.
Oh, congratulations. Well done. So let's say that you've got a company that says, Frank, we got a problem with our team. They're burning out. We've got high absenteeism, big turnover. We need you to come and do anything possible, but our team is important for us. What would you want to put into place with a blank check, open card?
Okay. So the first thing I'll put in place is a proper measuring system. Okay, so I remember I worked for one of the consulting companies. I don't mention the name. We had a measuring system, but what happens is it's done once a year. So during that 1 week, we prepare the best foods, the best meals. We come up with all the best programs.
Ah, no.
We do all the beautiful things. And Pepper, them, I prepared them very well. So when they go do the survey, we get high marks. That's what happens. So now we
No.
need to have a way where it's throughout the year, maybe every quarter or maybe every month, there's a way of measuring what the kind of investment or the kind of program we're implementing, how well it's doing. So that throughout the year, in little ways of measuring, there are some bits and pieces, they are gathering information. And then at the end of the year, we're able to have a whole scoring system that tells us how progressively the well-being program is being implemented,
Right.
and it's working. I think that is the best way for us to be able to do it, because you can have the best intentions, but if the measuring system isn't right, you always come up short. I had an HR manager one time who was only interested in the optics. So you come to me and say, Frank, let's take pictures. So every month we decided we're going to have games for employees where we engage and all that. She was only interested in taking the pictures. So she organized a few things, get the pictures, upload it onto a website, done.
Looks good.
And then that's it. So superiors will see it and say, oh, guys, you're doing so well, you're doing so well, you're doing so well. But it wasn't being done properly. You get it? So you may give me $1 billion. I can come up with a beautiful training program, a beautiful psychological system program that supports people and all that. But we need to have a proper measuring system that can truly tell us that whatever we're doing, it's working or it's not. And if it's not working, then we need to tweak it, because in every program, you can't have 100%. Yeah. So sometimes even what you think is working today, tomorrow will change, because systems are changing, even in terms of who we are. If you look at the Gen Zs versus the millennials, what we look, we are different. We are not alike. You know, I look at my son every day, and I'm imagining, because when I was a kid, I didn't know what a computer was. But he, at the age of 4 years, is playing with a touch screen. So his whole thought process is different from mine. Yeah. You know, so we've got to develop systems that are right for the right people and for the right times. Yeah.
And what you're talking about with measures is you're not the first person who's mentioned this. One of the previous HR professionals I spoke to said that one of the ways that he actually broke through to the executives by giving him the statistics, the physical numbers, the numbers of this tracking the stats of sick, absenteeism, quiet quitters.
Right.
That started to change their perspective and going, oh, okay, hang on, we do have problems. So you're talking about having a real measure. Isn't that what our executives want? What's the ROI?
Exactly.
It mustn't be just a fluffy something which you just have into place. It's got to be something where you have a measuring, a yardstick to measure, so that then it's seen there is an ROI. That is powerful. So last thoughts of wisdom around this from your side. Where to?
Okay. Yes, so I would say that employee well-being programs are very important. In fact, they are fundamental to everything we do. And business owners should start looking at it and try to understand it if they don't fully understand it. But they need to get to a place where you can't run a business without having a proper well-being program that is being implemented properly. So what my takeout from this, or my last words I'll say, is that every business owner should consider the employee first, because when the employee comes first, definitely they're going to take care of the clients. Because when the employee doesn't come first, what happens is that a lot of things in the background would go wrong, because the employee is not happy, but he's forcing a smile. Eventually, the clients will realize that, no, this is not, something's wrong. This is not the service I'm looking for. It's all fake. It needs to be genuine. You need to love what you do. You need to put the right people in the right place. So the only way you can do that is when you have a proper program that is running. So even in terms of what do you call it, structure, in terms of promotions, in terms of opportunities. People need to go into places where they are comfortable, where they are well skilled, where they know what to do, and they are confident enough to do it. I'll give an example. I went to a place one time and I had to go into F&B because the F&B manager left all of a sudden. So when I got there, I realized that, look, the clients were not coming because the waiters and waitresses there were not trained to go and even say, oh, how was your meal? Something simple as that. They were not trained to do that. And then the more I interviewed them, I realized that they were not the right people for that particular place. So what I did was, we did a drastic, I don't know, but we just took university graduates who had no experience, but had experience in doing presentations, had experience in talking to people, and then we brought them in. We implemented a graduate program, a training program, and then we got them into the restaurant. And trust me, within 3 months, the numbers changed. You know, we had more clients coming in because now they were comfortable. They could relate to the guests. They could take feedback. They could welcome them. They could find out exactly what they wanted. The conversations were going on properly. So I would say the employee is the most important. And so business owners and employers should put systems in place that puts the employee first. And once the employee is happy, business is good.
Fantastic. I love it. I can see your passion. Your passion is just coming across so clearly here. So we're doing more interviews, Dr. Danae and myself, so that there is a document that perhaps one day you can actually take this to your clients and say, hey, here's a completely independent survey. This is what multiple businesses, multiple business professionals, HRs have said needs to happen. This is a framework. Maybe that's where we'll go with it. Thank you for your time. Huge appreciation. And I look forward to staying connected with you. And I hope one day we're going to chat again soon, Frank.
Thank you very much, Tim, for having me. It's a pleasure.